If you've got $1 million saved for retirement, congratulations! You're already ahead of almost everyone else in this country. But here's the question nobody actually answers for you. What does that $1 million actually pay you every month? Is it $2,500 a month? Is it $7,000 a month? Does it change depending on whether your money is in a Roth, a 401k, or a regular brokerage account? Today I'm going to walk you through the real math, withdrawal rates, Social Security, taxes, all of it. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what $1 million portfolio can realistically pay you in retirement. Let's get into it. Channel intro plus why this matters. Hey everyone, welcome back to Tyson Retires, the channel where we break down retirement planning in plain English. No jargon, no sales pitch, just the numbers. If you're new here, consider subscribing, because every week we dig into exactly this kind of stuff. How to turn your savings into real, spendable retirement income. Now, $1 million gets treated like this magic finish line in retirement planning. Hit $1 million, you're set. But $1 million isn't a lifestyle, it's a number on a statement. What actually determines your lifestyle is how you turn that number into income. And that comes down to three things. Your withdrawal rate, how aggressively you pull money out each year, where that money is sitting, Roth, traditional, or brokerage, because Uncle Sam treats each one very differently, and how it stacks with Social Security. Let's break down each piece, starting with withdrawal rates. The withdrawal rate. How much can you actually take out? You've probably heard of the 4% rule. It's the classic retirement shortcut. Withdraw 4% of your portfolio in year one, adjust that amount for inflation every year after, and historically your money should last about 30 years. On $1 million, 4% works out to $40,000 a year, or roughly $3,333 a month. Now, some newer research has actually pushed that number a little higher, closer to 4.5, 4.7%, suggesting the original 4% rule may have been overly cautious. That would bump your income up to somewhere around $45,000 to $47,000 a year. But withdrawal rate isn't one size fits all, it's a dial, and where you set that dial depends on your risk tolerance and how long you need this money to last. Let's look at the range. Conservative, 3%, $30,000 a year. Lower income, but your money is far less likely to run out, especially if you're retiring early or expect to live a long time. Moderate, 4%, $40,000 a year. The classic, time-tested benchmark. Higher, 5%, $50,000 a year. More income today, but more exposure if markets underperform. Aggressive, 6%, $60,000 a year. This is riding close to the edge, great if markets cooperate, risky if they don't. Here's the honest truth. The higher the withdrawal rate, the better your lifestyle looks today, but the more risk you're carrying for tomorrow. There's no universally correct number here. It depends on your time horizon, your other income sources, and frankly, how well you sleep at night watching your account balance move. Quick gut check in the comments. Are you team conservative 3% or team let's live life 5%? Drop your number below. I read every comment. Social Security, the piece most people forget. Here's something a lot of retirement videos skip. Almost nobody retires on their portfolio alone. For most Americans, Social Security is doing serious heavy lifting. Depending on your earnings history and when you claim, individual benefits typically land somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000 a year per person. For a married couple, that can easily mean $35,000 to $50,000 combined, every single year, guaranteed, adjusted for inflation, for as long as you live. Let's put that together with our portfolio number. Say you're pulling the classic 4%, $40,000 a year, and you've got $35,000 a year coming in from Social Security between you and a spouse. That's $75,000 a year in retirement income before we even talk about taxes. Suddenly, $1 million portfolio doesn't look like $40,000 a year of retirement. It looks a lot closer to $75,000. That's the real power of stacking a guaranteed income floor underneath your portfolio withdrawals. But, and this is a big but, your gross withdrawal is not the same as your take-home pay. Where your money is sitting determines how much of it you actually get to keep. That's next. Where your money lives changes everything. This is the part most people never think about until it's too late. Two people can both retire with $1 million and end up with completely different amounts of spendable cash, purely based on what kind of account that million is sitting in. Let's walk through the three main buckets. The Roth IRA. This is the cleanest scenario in retirement. Every dollar you pull out of a Roth is 100% tax-free. No income tax, no capital gains tax. And here's the bonus. Roth withdrawals don't count toward the income formula that determines how much of your Social Security gets taxed. Picture a 64-year-old with the full million in a Roth, plus $24,000 a year in Social Security. At a 3% withdrawal, $54,000 a year, completely tax-free. At 4%, $64,000 a year. At 5.6%, $74,000 to $84,000 a year. With a Roth, what you see on paper is exactly what lands in your bank account. There's a reason financial planners call this the dream scenario for retirement income, the traditional IRA or 401k. Now flip it. Same $1 million, same $24,000 in Social Security, but this time it's all sitting in a traditional account. Every withdrawal here is taxed as ordinary income, and it also pushes up what's called your provisional income, which determines how much of your Social Security becomes taxable. Important detail. Social Security is never 100% taxable. The maximum that can ever be taxed is 85% of your benefit. But depending on how much you're withdrawing, you can get close to that ceiling. At 3% withdrawal, $30,000, net income after federal tax lands around $51,000 a year. At 6% withdrawal, $60,000, net income comes in around $74,000 a year. Notice that even though the gross withdrawal numbers look similar to the Roth scenario, the traditional account consistently nets you less because taxes are eating into both your withdrawal and your Social Security. The brokerage account. This is the middle child of the three. Withdrawals here are generally taxed at long-term capital gains rates, which are more favorable than ordinary income tax, though your Social Security can still get pulled into taxation as your withdrawals climb. At 3%, about $54,000 a year, largely tax-free. At 4%, roughly $64,000 a year, with only a few $100s in tax. At 6%, around $81,000 a year, with a tax bill typically under $3,000. So brokerage accounts land in a sweet spot, not quite as clean as a Roth, but noticeably better than an all-traditional setup. The real world, a blended portfolio. Almost nobody retires with 100% of their money in one bucket. Most people have a mix, so let's model something realistic, split fairly evenly. About a third Roth, a third traditional, a third brokerage, plus that same $24,000 in Social Security. At 3%, $54,000 a year, basically no tax drag. At 4%, just under $63,500 net. At 5%, about $72,000 net. At 6%, around $81,400 net. A blended portfolio smooths out the extremes. You don't get the full tax-free ride of a Roth, but you avoid the heaviest tax drag of an all-traditional setup. This is honestly where most retirees land, and it's a solid place to be. Side by side at a 6% withdrawal rate, Roth, approximately $84,000 net. Traditional, approximately $74,000 net. Brokerage, approximately $81,000 net. Blended, approximately $81,400 net. That's a $10,000 a year gap between the best and worst case. Same $1 million, same withdrawal rate, just different account types. That's why where you save matters just as much as how much you save. Asset allocation, the other half of the equation. We've talked about withdrawal rate and account type, but there's a third lever: how your money is actually invested. A portfolio that's mostly bonds is safer and smoother, but it typically can't sustainably support more than about $20,000, $30,000 a year in withdrawals long term. A balanced 60-40 stock-to-bond mix usually supports something closer to $35,000, $45,000. Lean more heavily into stocks, and you open the door to higher long-term withdrawal power. But you also sign up for a bumpier ride along the way. Think of it as a sliding scale. The safer you play it, the lower your ceiling. The more growth you chase, the more volatility you accept. Neither answer is right. It's about matching your allocation to your time horizon and your stomach for risk. What does this actually mean for your lifestyle? Let's translate all these numbers into real life. Around $50,000 a year can support a modest, comfortable retirement, especially if your home is paid off and you're carrying no debt. $60,000 to $70,000 a year starts to open up real flexibility, travel, hobbies, helping out family. $80,000 plus a year on a $1 million base usually means you're either running a higher withdrawal rate, leaning on strong Social Security benefits, or bringing in additional income from somewhere else. The point isn't that one number is good and another is bad. The point is that I have $1 million isn't a retirement plan by itself. The real plan is understanding your withdrawal rate, your account mix, your Social Security timing, and your investment allocation together. So here's the bottom line. A $1 million portfolio is a genuinely strong foundation. You're already ahead of the vast majority of American savers, but the actual income it produces can swing by tens of thousands of dollars a year, depending on your withdrawal rate, where your money is sitting, and how you layer in Social Security. Don't just chase a round number like $1 million. Run your numbers, your accounts, your Social Security timing, your risk tolerance, and build a retirement paycheck that actually fits the life you want to live. If this video helped clarify things for you, hit that like button. It genuinely helps this channel grow. Subscribe if you're not already, because every week on Tyson Retires, we break down exactly this kind of retirement math. And if you know someone staring down retirement and wondering, is my number enough? Send them this video. Drop a comment. What's your target retirement number, and what withdrawal rate are you planning around? I read and reply to as many as I can.